Jai.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Dayānanda.
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 Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So today is a very special day. Well, Friday was a very special day. What we're doing the celebration today. Is anybody new here? First time? First time. Have you been to Hare Krishna temple before? It's not first time. So we're going to talk about the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we're going to speak from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we start with one nice verse. The material world is always in flux. Is that right? You know what flux means? It means it's always like this, mixing, sometimes up, sometimes down. Nothing's stable. We don't know what's going to happen next, do we? I found out this afternoon. And so therefore, religious process is there. It's always there in human society. In the Bible, it says in the beginning of creation there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And so that word is translated into modern, people are interested in Eastern philosophy and yoga, transcendental meditation. It sounds really good, yeah? And usually they start with the word Om, right? Om. So this is the word which creates this material world. And now we're going to talk about not just the word Om, but the personal representation of this sound vibration. It says the word was God, and the word was with God. So with God is the Om, and the word is God. And so this is the Hare Krishna mantra, which we've just been chanting. And this mantra is so powerful that it can actually immediately dissipate any inauspicious things we've done in the past, and give us a clean sheet. Depends on the mood that it's chanted in society. And so there was such a time when Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is the pastimes of the Supreme Lord in his form as Lord Chaitanya. Chaita means life force. Chaita, in Sanskrit or Bengali, it means the heart. Yeah? So all the energy is coming from the heart. So Chaita means the life force, Chaita, Charita. And Anya means limbs. Chaitanya, the form of the life force in eternity. Charita, Amrita. Amrita means nectar or eternality. So our real nature is eternal. The body is a machine which passes for a few years and then it's gone. But the person carries on. So, everybody is full of so many material desires, and anyway, we'll come to that later. So, 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya appeared and he distributed the whole Maha Mantra far and wide in the subcontinent of India. And then he left many devotees, thousands upon millions of devotees. But the nature of this world is that everything is diminishing, everything is becoming, it lasts for some time. The nature of this world is the thing's born, right? Something's created, then after some time it grows, and then it matures, then it produces offspring, and then it starts to dwindle, then it dies. Every single thing. There's nothing we can say that doesn't do that. So this is the body. And so Lord Chaitanya gave us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra by which we can actually reawaken our lost identity. We can start to understand that we're not the body, that we're actually something completely different. And but then, as I was saying, for about 200 years, we're talking about the 16th century, the beginning of the 16th century. Lord Chaitanya appeared at the end of the 15th century, 1486. And then for 48 years, up to 1544, he was actually preaching. And so when he left in 1544, then there was actually, religion was very healthy. It created a society which was where religion was rejuvenated. Has anybody that experience that sometimes, no matter what we're doing, there's a lot of things going off here. Everybody's watching this. Come on, give me a break. What are we talking about now? We're talking about rejuvenated. Has anybody felt rejuvenated sometimes?
Yeah.
It feels great, doesn't it? But usually we're doing something for some time and then it becomes a little bit bored. Yeah? And then, somebody else will come along and they'll realise what he's talking about, and they'll be able to show us the positive side. So this is why Lord Chaitanya appeared. And this so often people become dull. And they can't, due to that dullness, they can't perceive what a jewel of opportunity they've got in spiritual life. So Lord Chaitanya came to rejuvenate. So for 200 years it was rejuvenated after he left. And then there was a problem. A Mr. Bentham. Have you got any Mr. Benthams here? No? He was a British aristocrat. Well, there was Lord Macaulay. Lord Macaulay. The British ruled the British Empire, India at that time. And so the British diplomats were expert diplomats. They knew how to apply things in a subtle way and create a whole new situation, a whole new destiny. So they sent Lord Macaulay to analyse the Indian subcontinent because it was a jewel of the British Empire. See how much we can actually exploit it. And so Lord Macaulay analysed the living conditions. And he came back to the Houses of Parliament and he spoke before the before the members of Parliament. My dear sirs, it is impossible to conquer India. We can't. Their culture is far, far superior to ours. The people are more advanced spiritually. The only way it can be done, I've got one answer, the only way it can be done is if we infiltrate the, British philosophy, the British way of life. It's not a culture really, but it's a British culture. And so they sent this Bentham, and he started to talk about naturalism. What's naturalism? It means there used to be a song, doing what comes naturally. Has anybody heard that song? Do what comes naturally. And it's usually a load of rubbish if we do what comes naturally. It means that, we're just trying to follow the dictates of our mind. And so this is okay, let him preach like that. But then, there was an Indian, Rama Mohan. He started to preach the same thing, so then Indians would start to take notice. And then the worst thing that could happen, he started to infiltrate the Vedic scriptures with this philosophy. So that even if people were religious, they got a twisted version of religion. And so for 150 years this happened, and Vaishnavism, it went down and down and down. It became so corrupted that in the name of Vaishnavism, people were actually exploiting the opposite sex. People who were in a position of, spiritual power, they become so corrupted. And there were 13 different sects formed, which all followed this degraded process. They call them Apa Sampradayas. Sampradaya means a thread of disciplic succession, which has got the absolute truth. And these diverted. So I'm just saying that how we got to this position now? Then along came Srila Prabhupada's grand spiritual master, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And they gradually rejuvenated religion in the subcontinent of India. And then, obviously, Srila Prabhupada came and he took it out of India and spread it to the rest of the world. So, it became re-enlivened. This message of Lord Chaitanya became So what lesson can we learn from this? That we shouldn't mix the purity of devotional service with other things. It will mess us up, and it will mess up the whole process. If we're going to practice something, at least what we do practice it purely. And admit what we can't practice and keep it separate. Otherwise, we've got problems. So Advaita Acharya here, he's praying for the advent of Lord Chaitanya in this particular verse. Kahe pape, kahe punya, kare vishaya. Kahe pape, kahe punya, kare vishaya bhoga. Bhakti gamai nahi yate yaya babaroga. Translation. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in transcendental service of the Lord, which can give relief from the repetition of birth and death. Advaita Acharya saw the entire world to be engaged in activities of material piety and impiety, without a trace of devotional service or Krishna consciousness everywhere. The fact is that in the material world there is no scarcity of anything except Krishna consciousness. Material necessities are supplied by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. We sometimes feel scarce because of our mismanagement. But the real problem is that people are out of touch with Krishna consciousness. Everyone is engaged in material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, death, old age and disease. These four material miseries are called bhava roga, or material diseases. They can be cured only by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction for human society. Om Gananti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastaksha Visitayane. So we just spoke about a little bit of history which led up to our present situation. In other words, it wasn't easy. It's not that, things last and there was ups and downs, and eventually we're in a position where we can take the full blessings of devotional service. And so Lord Chaitanya, as we hear, he was just like Chaitanya Chaitamrita is he's talking about the form of the living entity in his eternal constitutional position. And that was Lord Chaitanya. He acted like a liberated soul. He is a liberated soul. He's a supreme Lord. But we're actually all capable of attaining that condition. That's our natural condition. And so he personally came to show us how to do that. So he's described as being, we'll come back to that actually. So everybody's a desire, right? Is anybody who's desireless? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Nobody. He's desireless.
No, I was just going to say that even if you want to be desireless, that's a desire, isn't it? You have to have the desire to be desireless. You can't become free from desire.
Yeah, so if you've no desire, it means you're a dead stone, aren't you? Yeah? Have you got any dead stones in it? Actually, everything in the material world is alive. Did you know that? Even the stones have life. He says the soul is everywhere. Krishna's energy is everywhere. And Krishna's energy is spiritual. It's full of life. But according to the desire of the individual soul, that freedom is actually limited. When we all want freedom, right? We all want to just experience happiness, go anywhere, do anything, and be completely satisfied all the time. So that's spiritual life. And that's the full blessing, that's the full potential of the soul. And when we actually don't desire that, we're talking about desire, don't forget that word, desire. When we don't desire that, we desire something else. And then we disconnect ourselves with the source of all these, spiritual attributes, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. And so Lord Chaitanya appeared to rejuvenate that spiritual desire, to change that. We cannot change desire, we cannot take away desire, otherwise there's no existence. So depending on how we use our freedom, depends on how conscious or full of consciousness we actually can become. We can understand that there's actually a level of consciousness far beyond what we're experiencing now. And if we go the other way, and we just try to enjoy matter, our consciousness is gradually reduced until we almost become inanimate, and then we become inanimate. Everything's living in this world, and everything's in a situation according to its desire. So this human form of life is very, very special. We can actually reach a crossroads. We can make a choice. What do we want to do? How do we want to generate desires? So that's what Lord Chaitanya came to do. He showed us how to generate spiritual desires. And it's very, very simple. We've just been chanting the Maha mantra. Anybody who seriously chants this mantra, then their spiritual life will be awakened. Anybody who actually chants this mantra, eventually their spiritual nature will be awakened. Prabhupada had full knowledge, full faith in that. when he came to the West, he says, my only qualification is, he says, my God brothers, some of them, they're far more learned than I am. He said, but I've got one quality. He's got two qualities actually. He said, I have faith in the order of my spiritual master, and I have full faith in the holy name of the Lord. Any problems, when in doubt, problems create doubt, right? Right? When in doubt, what do? When in doubt, get your deed back out. This will solve all problems eventually. We have to actually at least have that faith. And so desire is inherent. Next thing is mercy. Lord Chaitanya is called Maharaja. Maha means great and Vadanya means munificent. So munificent means one who gives mercy, right? And so he's described as the most munificent person in existence, or who has ever actually been in this material world. So I want to challenge that. I'm not challenging this, I'm just actually trying to understand it properly. I mean, Lord Krishna, is he merciful? Eh? So, Lord Krishna, I'll tell you a story, shall I? It's in Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, just before Lord Krishna left this world, after he'd been on he was on this earth for 125 years. And before he left, his very dear devotee Uddhava came to him because he understood all the symptoms there he's going to go. And he prayed to Lord, please take me with you. I don't want to stay here without your association. And Lord Krishna said, well, I've got one or two things I want you to do first. He says, okay, so please enlighten me to protect me from this material energy. Please preach to me and enlighten me about the process of devotional service. And so Krishna did that. And then at that time, there was another devotee called Vidura. And Vidura, to cut a long story short, he was advisor to the king. He was the king's younger brother. And he was very pious. But the king, he was actually being manipulated by his eldest son, Duryodhana. And Vidura was always trying to correct, Dhritarashtra, the king, and put him on a straight and narrow. And one day, while he was speaking to the king, Duryodhana, his eldest brother, eldest son, came in. And he insulted Vidura. He said, what's him to come here? He said, and so then Vidura answered, he said, you shouldn't actually take notice of this person. He's actually no good for himself, and he's no good for you. And then Duryodhana said, he really became angry. He said, kick him out of the palace and leave him only with his breath. And so they threw Vidura out of the palace. And then he went, so he's a devotee. So in difficult situations, a devotee always sees that there must be some reason for this. And in due course of time, if I'm patient, I'll actually see the advantage of the situation I'm put into. And so Vidura, being very Krishna conscious, he understood that this difficult situation is an opportunity to actually become more absorbed in Krishna consciousness instead of these politics of this world. And so he was searching for Uddhava because he knew Uddhava had been preached to or been directed by Lord Krishna. And when he met him, he said, please tell me what Lord Krishna spoke to you. And then Uddhava, he started remembering Lord Krishna, and he felt very emotional. And he was talking about how merciful Krishna is. And so he told one story to Vidura. Uddhava told one story to Vidura. And that story was about when Lord Krishna was present. I thought, anyway. Lord Krishna was present, and I was saying now, I forgot what I was saying. We were talking about, that's when Lord Krishna was present. You know, the king at that time was Kamsa, and he was always trying to kill Krishna, and he was sending many different demons. And one of the first ones he sent was when Krishna was only a little baby. They called her Putana. Has anybody heard of Putana?
Yes.
Actually, there was this one person called Paravidya. Paravita. Anyway, we'll not go into that. We're going to get our verses here. So, Putana came to, Lord Krishna, and she came in a beautiful form, and so everybody who, even Lord Krishna's mother and all the different gopis, they thought, wow, such a nice person. And she said, can I breastfeed Krishna? And so they gave her permission. But actually she was a demoness in disguise, and she smeared poison on her breast, so that when Krishna took the poison, he would be actually killed. But when, Krishna could understand, and so when she gave him his breast, he actually sucked out her life air. And she was actually liberated and went back to Godhead. How is that possible? See, so this is the extreme mercy of Lord Krishna, that his way of thinking was that, if somebody came to you and tried to poison you, you might have a different reaction. But Lord Krishna took the best side. He thought, this is my mother. He didn't think about the poison side. He says, so therefore she's come to try and feed me, so I'll give her liberation. And so this is the mercy of Lord Krishna. So what challenge is, can you find in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes anywhere where he was more merciful than that? Because I'm saying who's the most merciful, Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya? Lord Chaitanya, by the way, for those who first time, he's an expansion of Krishna, and he's also an expansion of Srimati Radharani. He has the mood of Srimati Radharani, Krishna's consort. He has the golden complexion of Radharani, but he has the external body of Lord Krishna. So he appears in a male form with the sentiments of Radharani, and the sentiments generally of females they're more soft-hearted. Is that right? Is it?
Yes.
Hold on, he's annoying me. What about what was the men? He didn't say no. So that's Lord Chaitanya is described as being more merciful. So what's the pastime where he actually was more merciful? Is there a pastime where he was more merciful than Lord Krishna? Eh? Jagayamadai. Jagayamadai. Right? Anything wrong with Jagayamadai? Anything wrong with that example? When Lord Chaitanya understood that Madai had thrown a pot at Nityananda and broke his head. He was bleeding profusely. What did Lord Chaitanya do? He what? He got his Sudarshan chakra out. It was going to decapitate him. So it was more merciful. Eh? Eh? We're talking about Lord Chaitanya. We'll do that one next. Come on.
Krishna.
Krishna's more merciful. Who agrees with, what's your name? Robin. Who agrees with Robin?
It's only Lord Chaitanya who gave Premanam. So even Krishna, he didn't give it.
No, he gave Premanam. Krishna did. In the Bhagavad Gita, he didn't exactly give it straight like Lord Chaitanya, so you're right. You know, Lord Krishna said, all you have to do is just surrender and I'll take complete care of you, right? Just surrender to this process of devotional service and I'll take care of all your needs and I'll tie up all the loose ends and you can just fully absorb yourself in devotional service. But people didn't. And Lord Chaitanya came because people were not doing that, they weren't surrendering to Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya, he came and showed us how to actually surrender. And he didn't actually put any barriers. He just said if we just chant this Hare Krishna Maha mantra, this is sufficient for us to actually make spiritual progress and achieve perfection. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya is more merciful. But you know, Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, we cannot take the mercy of Lord Chaitanya without approaching Lord Nityananda. About a month ago, it was Lord Nityananda's appearance day, and Lord Nityananda is called Adi Guru. He's the original form of Lord Krishna's mercy, Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And so, you know, we cannot approach a great personality directly, even in this material world, is that right? If you want to see somebody who's a very prestigious person, very popular person, very rich person, usually we have to go through their secretary and so many things, and then we may not be successful. So, in the case of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, we go through his representatives. We follow the instructions of their representatives, and then we can actually get the mercy. But it's actually twofold. In Bhagavad Gita, right at the beginning, it mentions about Sanjaya. Sanjaya, he was actually he was the disciple of Vyasadeva. And it said that he could see directly, he could see the battle of Kurukshetra. Everything that was happening, and he was relating this to Dhritarashtra. And it says that it was by the mercy of Vyasadeva that he could see the field of Kurukshetra. But it says that because he could see, it's also direct. We can approach Krishna directly through chanting his holy name. So two things are there. We're developing a personal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we're following the direction of the spiritual master to keep us on track. Two things. So we're a little bit behind time according to Chaitanya Baba. And there was the same pastime in Chaitanya Leela, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. There was one devotee called Mukunda. So Mukunda was a very close devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And in the Panchatattva, the second from the right as we look is Gadadhar. Yeah? So Gadadhar, he was looking, at that time, he was wanting to take shelter of a spiritual master. And so Mukunda, and at that time, Pundarik Vijayanidhi, another great devotee, came into the area. And so Mukunda thought, Pundarik Vijayanidhi is a perfect person for Lord Gadadhar to take shelter from. He's advanced, and he will be able to take, Gadadhar will be able to take shelter from him. And so he spoke to Gadadhar. I said, I know there's one very great devotee, I would like to take you and show you his association. And he said, would you like to come? And Gadadhar says, yes, definitely. He was really enthusiastic. And so they went to the house of Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And Gadadhar's a brahmachari. You know what a brahmachari is, everybody? It means he's a celibate monk. He's been trained up in spiritual life. You know, from the age of 5, the trained brahmacharis up till 20, 25. And so they live very simply. They're very obedient. And so we can imagine the situation that Mukunda is taking Gadadhar. So you can imagine the mindset of Gadadhar. He's thinking that spiritual people, spiritually advanced people, they're detached. They don't need opulence. Yeah? And so when he went into the house, there was Pundarik Vijayanidhi. He was laid on a 4-poster bed with all silks. And he had a silk turban. There was actually, you know, have you seen the clothes sometimes, how they put into the turban? And there was 2 people fanning him, one with a whisk and one with a chamara. And he was, you know, eating fruit. Actually, he was eating pan. Pan is something which, you know, is like an intoxicant. And he was eating this pan, and there was a spittoon, and he was spitting it into the spittoon. And, you know, when Pundarik Vijayanidhi saw this, he couldn't compute what was happening. And so Mukunda looked at him, and he could understand, the face is the index of the mind, right? He could understand what he was thinking. And so then he recited this prayer. This is the prayer where, remember I was speaking about Lord Krishna when he gave mercy to that witch who tried to poison him. He actually recited the prayer describing this particular situation. And as soon as he recited it, Pundarik Vijayanidhi, he became full of uncontrollable ecstasy. And he just fell off the bed, he started lashing his arms and legs everywhere. And it took about 10 men to try and hold him down. And this went on for a long time. And so then Mukunda looked at Gadadhar, and Gadadhar realized I made a big mistake. So Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are full of variation. And just like in the material world, we have so many different varieties. And these pastimes, when we read about them, they're meant to attract the heart, attract our attention. That in spiritual life, they're all actually, it's not dull. That things are there. And from every pastime, we can learn something very valuable. So Lord Chaitanya, before he left this world, he actually instructed the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, to delineate what is actually devotional service, to actually analyse all the revealed scriptures and come with the essence. And so these books that we're reading now, they're actually the essence of all revealed scriptures. Ekalikaya Aranahya Konada, Vaishnav Shastra Ekahima. In this age of Kali, the only things that we need to read is the Vaishnav scriptures, and the only persons we need to really associate with to make spiritual advancement are those who are following the Vaishnav Shastras, the devotees. And so Lord Chaitanya came and he rejuvenated devotional service and gave us knowledge which wasn't available before that. And that knowledge is knowledge of our intimate relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And every single one of us, if we're actually serious, we can actually develop that relationship. And even if we're not serious, if we just keep listening to this philosophy, eventually the heart will be changed. And we'll actually experience, what we're looking for. That happiness which doesn't go away, it's eternal. Even in difficult situations we'll be satisfied. Yeah? So this is a great boon of Lord Chaitanya. Without his mercy, we wouldn't have been able to practice devotional service. And so that mercy is there for everybody. And today is a nice opportunity to remember that and glorify Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Gaura Purnima. Is there any comments or questions? I think we've got 5 minutes left. Yeah? You're Paul?
Robin.
Paul?
There's a point now, I guess. Could you tell me a little bit about what the name Mukunda means, please?
Mukunda, it means one who gives liberation.
Could you tell me something else about it? Because I knew that. Could you tell me something else about it? Because I knew that.
Say something about
Something else about it, please, because I
Something
knew
else
that.
about
I know it means the liberator. Would you have anything else to say about him?
Well, what's liberation? It's different for different people. Somebody who's been working all week, it's like liberating to actually finish on Friday.
Yeah,
So, that's a kind of liberation. But it's not really liberation, is it? You've got to go on and look after the kids and so many other things. So, that's the material world. Liberation's, it's like relative. This is a difficult situation I'm in now. Now I've got relief from that. Now I'm liberated from it. But it's just like...
So was he a comforter?
Eh?
Was he a comforter? What was his nature when he lived? Was he a comforter? Was he a teacher? What was his nature, if you could tell me, please?
Oh, Mukunda. Well, Mukunda's a devotee in Chaitanya Chaitamrita. And I don't know too much, I can't remember much of his pastimes. He was a young devotee. Why do you want to know about Mukunda anyway?
That's something that's always, I've always wondered.
Okay,
Yeah.
so one particular pastime. Actually, Lord Chaitanya appeared to actually deliver, I think it's 5 different kinds of people, and Mukunda was one of them.
Okay.
And, Prakashananda Sarasvati Thakur, he was an impersonalist, so he appeared to actually liberate the impersonalists, those who think that, everything is God, that God's one. And then Sarvabhauma Acharya, big scholars who think they know everything, he came to liberate those, because when people are particularly good at doing something, we become proud and we don't listen. So this is what Lord Chaitanya had to deal with. He came to liberate people who were atheistic, like Jagai and Madai. And what else was there? Anyway.
That's answered my question, actually.
Yeah.
He's one of the 5
Well,
sorts of people.
the point is Mukunda was one of them, and he represented the students.
Excellent.
And I'll tell you the pastime. Lord Chaitanya, Mukunda, he was going to different mats or different places of worship or different places of learning, hearing about different philosophies. And everyone that he heard, he thought, oh, very nice. Even if you heard my voice, you said, oh, very nice. And so he became, so when Lord Chaitanya, he became so disturbed. He says, tell Makonda not to come here again. He said, I don't want to see his face around here anymore. And so the devotees were shocked because Lord Chaitanya meant it. And that's the worst thing that could happen, to not get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so they said, oh, Supreme Lord, please, Lord Chaitanya, please tell us that, you will see him sometime. Just tell us when he says, okay, tell him I'll see him after 10,000 births. And so in the next room was Makonda, and he heard this, and he started jumping in joy. I shall see! I shall see! And when Lord Chaitanya heard him, he said, bring him here. And so what's this going to do with students? It means that, students, they speak so many things, they learn so many things. There's a degree for everything, isn't there? So Makonda was actually learning different philosophies, and Lord Chaitanya ignored him. So, in other words, when we get an opportunity, we just preach reality. We don't start getting into all these different arguments, because it doesn't take us anywhere. And so Lord Chaitanya didn't deal with him until he was actually in a position to actually, until he was in the right consciousness. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you very much. I love it.
Lord Chaitanya Maharaj, he was very merciful and liberated a dog, a puppy, or a dog, didn't he? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just nice.
Yeah, it was feeding.
Very lovely.
Yeah, I was feeding one dog, one puppy dog, and the dog kept eating, for a few days. And he would personally feed them. In India, they don't allow dogs in the house. Dogs are not a very precious animal. They have the utility, but usually people keep away from dogs because they're not a clean animal. And Lord Chaitanya was actually feeding this dog every day and looking after it, taking care of all its needs. And the devotees couldn't understand. They didn't understand the situation. But I forget exactly how it happened. At one point, they found a dog. He started chanting Hare Krishna. He started dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. And while he was doing that, I think at that point, he just actually collapsed on the floor and left his body. And everybody could understand that he actually achieved perfection. Yeah.
All right. I was reading the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam the other day, and it said that the closest planet to the Earth is the Sun. Everyone thinks it's the Moon. So you get the likes of America, Russia, China, Japan. They're all saying they went to the Moon. The Bhagavan said they might have went somewhere like Rahu. So what's your version of that? Because the Moon is supposed to be full of vegetation.
Well, Prabhupada, he didn't take modern day scientists' version, because in the scripture it says that every materialistic person in this world, they have 4 defects. They make mistakes, they don't see properly, they become illusion. We have imperfect senses, and we cheat. If nobody's looking, we cheat. And so when a person is afflicted with these 4 things, we can't really take very seriously what we say. So Prabhupada said the process of learning is to take it from an authority. And so he always referred to Srimad Bhagavatam as the authority. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it actually explains how the whole universe is actually constructed. And it says that the moon is higher than the sun. It's further away. And it's a bigger planet. And so Prabhupada used that argument. And when they actually went to the moon, when the Americans said they went to the moon, he actually stated they've not gone. Because what happened is one of his disciples, he was following the moonshot, every day was looking at the news, and he was reporting to Prabhupada because he was an American. And, you know, he wasn't actually following the spiritual process so strongly, so he was becoming more materialistic in his outlook, you know. And Prabhupada was patient with him, he was trying to encourage him. And then he came to the day of the moon landing, and this devotee, he hired a television so that, you know, Prabhupada could see the moon landing. But Prabhupada, you know, he was taking a massage, and he was looking the other way at his chair, but the devotee was actually narrating the moon landing. And at the point when, who was it? Louis Armstrong, was it? Not Louis Armstrong. James Armstrong. Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong, you know, pretty strong. He said, Prabhupada, they've landed. They've landed on the moon. He says, oh. He says, are there any people there? Are there any cities? He says, no, Prabhupada. He says, is there any, you know, pastures and any lakes and, you know, mountains? He said, no, Prabhupada, it's a moon. And Prabhupada said, they have not landed on the moon. So, you know, at that time, if anybody had said that, they'll lock you up. They would have thought you were crazy. Because everybody in there was just, this is what they've done.
I also heard that...
Anyway, we've got to the point of it here. Anyway, the moon of Lord Chaitanya. Anything else? Okay. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Chaitanya Ki. Prabhupada Ki. Gaura Purnima.
Dayānanda Swami Maharaja ki.
Dayānanda Swami ki. Hare Krishna. Let's show some appreciation for Maharaj. Let's give him a round of applause. Thanks, Maharaj. So we're going to be singing a little bhajan, which means a devotional song just now. Gauridas Prabhu's come from York. In fact, the York team have cooked the feast today, so let's hear it for the York team. Is that all you've got? Come on. Much better. So Gauridas is going to sing this bhajan here. Now, if any of you are on the ISKCON Newcastle WhatsApp group, put your hand up. Now, Gauridas, with the wonders of modern technology, has posted the lyrics to this song on the ISKCON Newcastle WhatsApp group. Now, if you're not on the WhatsApp group, put your hands up. Okay. If you'd like to be added to the WhatsApp group, put your hands up. Okay, we'll add you. But for now, we will put it up here on the screen. Pastor Shresh is going to put it up. Oh, it's already up there, yeah. So we're going to sing this bhajan now. This will be about maybe 10 minutes. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to have the drama by the Panchatattva players. Okay, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Do we have any Madanga players? Okay, great. Kartal players.